And then we got someone else, obviously Keenan Thompson. He also had something to say. So let's first listen to him, and then let's talk about it. Let's digest. Let's say what we think.
I know this is hard. It's a tough subject, you know, because it's tough for me because like I can't really speak on things that I never witnessed. You know what I'm saying? Because all these things happened after I left, basically, and Dan wasn't really on Keenan and Kel like that. I mean, he got it created by credit, but you know, there was a different showrunner, so our worlds weren't really like overly, you know, overlapping like that outside of all that necessarily. And then all that negativity kind of started happening.
That was interesting for him to say. Did anyone else think that was kind of interesting that Dan Schneider wasn't even around that much? Is that true?
Outside of like our tenure there, you know what I mean? So like, I wasn't really aware of a lot of it, but my heart goes out to, you know, anybody that's been victimized or their families, you know what I mean? I mean, like, I think it's a good thing that the doc is out and it's, you know, putting things, you know, on display that need to be, you know, stories that need to be told for this, you know, accountability's sake. But it's definitely tough to watch because I have fond memories of that place, you know, and I have fond memories of, you know, my co-stars and stuff like that. So to hear that they've gone through terrible things like that is just, it's really tough.
We also reached out, of course, to the production company, and they said that, you know, they investigate all of these things.
Wow, he looked like he was honestly gonna cry. I like felt that a little bit. It's interesting to see how, what I think has been intriguing about a lot of this is how each person can have their own experience in the same space. It doesn't mean that that person's experience isn't real because this other person's experience was that. And to start having conversations around that, because I feel like it can be very triggering for certain survivors when they hear, you know, I was there and like I met or I know this person and this person wasn't like that to me. And then usually it's used against the survivor. But now we're starting to see people go, okay, I met this person. You know, I didn't have this experience, but I support your experience. Like I stand with you. Just, you know, I think it's really important for us to start having those conversations where it's not because you had this experience, that person, it's not true. Two things can be happening. And it's so important, like I said earlier, is just to look at someone and say, I'm so sorry that happened to you and you didn't deserve it. I'm hoping that all of these conversations around Quiet on Set and all the different Nickelodeon actors that we're at least starting to see that and allowing ourselves to have different experiences and not negating another person's experience just because yours was different. Really important. Well, it seems like though Angelique Bates didn't feel good about what Keenan Thompson said. She tweeted, "What about what you did witness? Remember me?" I didn't actually know much about Angelique Bates, but I would hear about her here and there when I started coming forward about Dan Schneider and about Nickelodeon. And she's like honestly the first person, pretty positive, to speak out against the network and about the producers. And I mean, she's honestly like a badass. And no one listened to her. I'm actually kind of curious why she's not in the doc. Let's watch this video. This was, I think, when she first came forward, but I'm not sure. Let's just watch it.
From 1992 to 1996, I was a series regular on Nickelodeon's All That. I was only 12 years old, and that's when my nightmare began. I was physically, mentally, emotionally in front of the producers and cast members, and sometimes they could even hear me yelling. But nothing was done to help me until approximately 1996 when CPS was called. And when CPS came, I was pressured by all the adults that were set to protect me to stay silent. I did, and I have. But I can no longer stay silent, and I won't. My name is Angelique Bates, and I am an adult survivor of child abuse, and this is my story.
Wow. I think maybe her and I have similar experiences when it comes to, I think, bullying on set. It was them calling me crazy and this and that I was making things up and, you know, a whole bunch of things. And it was really painful. And so if she's saying that he did witness a toxic work environment in any way when it came to her. She's feeling like, oh, why aren't you acknowledging, though, what I remember you seeing for yourself? So I feel for her if that is how she feels and he did witness some things and he's not stating that. I get how she's feeling. Like, I feel for her. I really, really do. So I guess there's a sketch here where she says the sketch was both of ours. And so let's watch it. It's a little clip from all that.
You'll find out. What's up, Wally? Hey, what's up, y'all? Chilling, right? Oh, so you must be the new girl. So tell me about yourself. Man,
See what we mean?
what is so funny? Is there something funny? Here we go. Hey, do I smell French fries? Stop it, Wally, stop it. Please, can we enjoy our beverages here? Okay,
So I don't
I'm
know
sorry,
if you can see there, but it seems like maybe some milk got on her, and maybe she was what I'm guessing she's saying here is that she was experiencing some bullying, and he was aware, I guess, of the bullying that was happening on set. And she says here, I've been speaking out since 2009, and one out of many incidents where milk was thrown at me and spit in my face surrounding this sketch that's being mentioned online. A lot of my supporters have brought up the sketch, as you will see in this thread. This is a clip of the video, and that's just a clip. So I'm guessing that this was happening regularly. And we all know what that feels like. Kids who had just, high school, middle school, elementary school, kids who are on set. Bullying happens everywhere. And it's actually a very serious issue. Children have unalived themselves over bullying and how serious, this issue is. But she also did another video that I think is really important for all of us to listen to what she has to say, because I found it to be super heartbreaking. And I think it's really important for us to listen to her words. And I feel like it hasn't been boosted enough. So let's listen to this together. And obviously, remember, trigger warning.
Hi, my name is Angelique Bates. When I was a child star, dealing with aspects of the child, it pretty much affected the workplace, which later affected my adulthood because I was blackballed. My dark moment, it lasted for about 10 years. When I was pretty much released from my contract, I was 15. I want to say probably downhill from that point. One thing about the industry is when you're on, everyone loves you. But the minute that you're not on, everyone forgets you. And when you're a kid, it's really hard. When I got the show, it was just like I had all these play siblings or whatever. It's like, okay, I have friends, fans love us. The show was #1. It's just like all this love that I wasn't getting. So to have that taken away from you and not be able to do anything and not be able to make a living, it's hard.
I just want to say really quickly here, this is very brave to be this vulnerable, like that. I feel for her deeply. I think we all can. I think we all can. This is why this is really important to listen to her.
The industry is very judgmental. So I went through phases where I was told I wasn't light enough or I wasn't skinny enough. So I got to points where I went on diets. I tried to bleach my skin. I was constantly trying to change my image because I was like, well, maybe if I just change this, maybe I just change this, maybe they'll accept me again. And I would go into auditions. The casting directors knew me. They loved me. Oh, we got our children. They watch you. But I would never get the job. I was told for years, oh, you should be great for this. You should do this. You should do that. Wasn't getting it. Sometimes if I did get hired, I had fans coming in that were just like, oh, what are you doing here? So it got to the point where I couldn't even do a 9 to 5. But then I couldn't work in the industry either because I was blackballed. I ended up getting and adding that on to everything. I just shut down even more. I got to the point where I wouldn't dress up. I would try to do things to look non-pretty, to maybe I wouldn't get attention.
But then ended up in a DV situation, domestic, for some that don't know what DV means. It was just one thing coming from different angles. And it just got to the point where I just couldn't handle it. I decided one day I was going to swallow a whole bottle. And actually my best friend saved me. I was so done. Because it seemed like no matter what I did, I just couldn't fly. And it's just like the industry, when that's all that you know. It's like you're constantly getting kicked. My best friend saving my life, I realized that maybe I was still supposed to be here. And it just got to the point where I had fans and people reaching out to me, and I started talking more about it, and I realized I really wasn't the only one. I always kept it to myself because it was taboo in the industry. You know, they were creating these stories about me, and I just wasn't saying anything, and I was just taking hits and taking hits. But when I started speaking my truth, which people didn't know, and some did know the truth, they started coming out and defending me. Ended up being a parent and having my 2 kids. You know, children, they always see the good no matter what. They don't care what's going on. And to my 2 kids, I'm amazing, always. I'm beautiful. I'm perfect to them. Like, they love me no matter what. And that's really all that matters. And it's just for my kids, that's what I live for, just to make sure that they're okay and they don't have to go through any of the things that I had to go through, and that pretty much they have a great future. That's my goal, and that's where my light is.
So unbelievable. I love that the show is called Inner Warrior. Boy, does she have an inner warrior. My God, that was, jeez. How is everyone feeling? I'm about to cry at the gym. Yeah, no, that was her story really has been, you know, buried. And, you know, that's another thing too. I feel like you feel like no one's going to care, you know, because, oh, wow, your problems are what, when you were on like a kid's show, like living your best life and, you know, the whole thing. And I think that also creates a lot of shame. And you feel like, oh, maybe my feelings don't necessarily matter because of the privileges that are involved in this when it comes to the space I was in, you know, but I think it's really important at the end of the day, you know, every human being matters. If their trauma, you know, their story matters. What happened to them matters. And anytime we're trying to make up excuses to ignore people's pain and reality and story, you know, where are we? Where have we abandoned ourselves? Because I think it usually means that somewhere along the way, we abandon ourselves. There's something about us that we don't feel like our pain or even our happiness, honestly, is enough or worthy of being seen. I think we all have that in us. And it's so important or whenever I watch something like that, when I see a survivor telling her story and then her saying that once she was able to say it, that people started supporting her and what that feels like. That's what I want to see. That's what I really want to see. This is what it's about. Supporting all survivors. No one needs any more pain, right? No one needs any, I think we all, you know, have enough. How can we show up and make sure that someone like Angelique does? Let's make sure these things don't happen again. Let's not bully that affected her. And I think us shying away from the things that affect us is not going to help either. It's okay to say that hurt my feelings. And then the person goes, I'm so sorry, you didn't deserve that. Right? That process. I just think that could really do something if we can start collectively learning how to do that. If we could really see when someone's feelings are hurt, that we don't want to perpetuate that. And I think it's really easy. What I noticed when I was being bullied when I was younger is that the other kids that weren't bullying me, their response was, you're being sensitive. And so there was like kind of nowhere to go. And I think we need to change that. I think it's okay to be sensitive. We all need to feel safe to express that. That's what I just remember in my childhood was the mixture of, it was like gaslighting, honestly, because then I'd be like, oh, am I not supposed to cry? You know, am I not supposed to feel these things? Am I being weird, you know? And then I realized, no, I wanted kindness and I was showing up in a kind way and I wanted to have that returned, or at the very least I wanted to be respected. And now we're older and I'm older. I'm turning 32 in a couple of days. And it's sad to see even in adult years we're bullying one another.